For an English cottage interior, the color palette is all about creating a cozy, inviting atmosphere with soft, nature-inspired hues. Picture soft creams and beiges for the walls, paired with pastel blues and muted greens to evoke a sense of calm and tranquility. You can bring in these colors through things like plush throw pillows in light blue or sage, or a soft floral patterned rug. For a bit more depth, add rich tones like terracotta or mustard yellow on accent chairs or in a vintage wooden frame. A deep navy or dusty plum on an accent wall or in a painting can add just the right amount of contrast without overwhelming the space. It's all about soft, warm tones with a few pops of color that feel both fresh and timeless. So, imagine this: creamy white walls with sage green cabinets in the kitchen, a soft pastel blue for the bedroom, and floral cushions or curtains to tie it all together. Maybe add a few wooden accents, like a rustic coffee table or a vintage dresser, and you've got a perfectly charming English cottage vibe. The key is to make it feel soft, warm, and welcoming, like you're stepping into a countryside retreat. What do you think? For an English cottage interior, natural materials are key to creating that cozy, rustic charm. You'll want to bring in lots of wood, think reclaimed wood beams on the ceiling or a weathered wood dining table. Stone is another great choice, whether it's used for a fireplace surround or flooring. Linen and cotton fabrics are perfect for curtains or cushions, giving a soft, airy feel. A woven wicker basket for firewood or a jute rug can add texture and warmth. Even clay or ceramic pottery works beautifully for vases or plant pots. The goal is to make your home feel grounded and connected to nature, like it's been part of the landscape for years. So, picture this: a living room with exposed wooden beams, a stone fireplace, and a cozy wool throw on a wicker armchair. The kitchen has slate floors, a farmhouse table with mismatched wooden chairs, and copper pots hanging from a rack. Add a few ceramic vases and some trailing ivy, and you've got that perfect, natural English cottage look. It's all about using materials that feel authentic, timeless, and connected to the earth. What do you think? Are you ready to bring the countryside into your home? For an English cottage interior, comfort is key. Think oversized, comfy armchairs that beg you to curl up with a book, like a soft, floral upholstered chair or a cozy slip-covered sofa. You'll want plenty of cushions and throws for added softness, fluffy ones in wool or linen that add texture and warmth. A well-worn leather armchair or a sturdy wooden rocking chair can add character and charm. Low, rustic coffee tables made from reclaimed wood are perfect for that laid-back vibe. Basically, you want pieces that feel lived in, relaxed, and just inviting enough to make you want to kick back and stay a while. So, picture this: a plush sofa covered in floral and gingham cushions, a wooden coffee table that looks like it's seen a few decades, a cozy armchair in the corner with a knitted throw, and a farmhouse table with mismatched chairs. Doesn't that sound like the kind of place you'd want to spend a lazy afternoon? That's the magic of cottage furniture. Everything feels like it's been chosen to make you feel right at home. What do you think? For patterns and textiles in an English cottage interior, think soft, charming prints that make the space feel cozy and homey. Floral patterns are a biggie. Think vintage-style florals on cushions, curtains, or a comfy armchair. Checkered or gingham fabrics work beautifully too, especially for tablecloths or throw pillows. You can layer in some stripes or delicate polka dots to keep things playful. For texture, go for soft, natural fabrics like linen or cotton for your curtains, or add a chunky knit throw on the sofa. A floral rug or a quilted bedspread can bring all these patterns together in a way that feels charmingly mismatched but perfectly cozy. So, picture this: a floral sofa with striped and gingham cushions, soft linen curtains framing the windows, a chunky knit throw over the back of a chair, and a vintage quilt folded at the foot of the bed. Doesn't that sound dreamy? It's cozy, charming, and has that lived-in, welcoming feel that makes English cottages so special. For accessories and decor in an English cottage, it's all about creating that lived-in, charming feel with a mix of vintage and cozy touches. Think old brass candle holders, a well-loved leather-bound book collection, or a rustic clock with a bit of patina. Fresh flowers in a vintage vase or a bunch of wildflowers in a mason jar always add a fresh, natural vibe. You can add character with mismatched pottery, a quirky antique mirror, or even a patterned throw draped over a chair. The key is to make everything feel personal and welcoming, with pieces that tell a story or remind you of a cozy country retreat. So, imagine this, a cozy living room with a stack of books by the fire, a vase of fresh flowers on a side table, and a mix of vintage plates and framed art on the walls. Add some soft lighting from a table lamp, a basket full of blankets, and a teacup ready for a warm drink. Doesn't that just sound like the kind of space you'd want to curl up in? For lighting in an English cottage, think soft, warm, and cozy, nothing too harsh. You'll want to mix ambient, task, and accent lighting to create a welcoming atmosphere. A vintage-style chandelier over the dining table adds a bit of charm, while table lamps with fabric shades on side tables create a soft glow for reading or relaxing. For a bit of rustic appeal, consider brass or iron sconces on the walls or a cute lantern-style pendant light in the kitchen. Candles are a must too, whether they're in old candlesticks on the mantel or tucked into pretty holders around the room. They add that warm, inviting glow that makes everything feel extra cozy. So, imagine this, a room softly lit by a mix of table lamps with patterned shades, candles flickering on the mantel, and a few fairy lights twinkling in the background. Add a glowing fire in the hearth or a lantern by the door, and you've got a space that's warm, inviting, and oh so cottagey. For a kitchen in an English cottage, it's all about charm, warmth, and a bit of rustic character. Think cozy, farmhouse-inspired pieces like an antique wooden butcher block or a classic farmhouse sink with exposed faucet handles. Open shelving works great for displaying vintage plates, mismatched mugs, or pretty jars of spices. You can add a touch of color with floral patterned tea towels or a gingham tablecloth. Wooden or wicker baskets are perfect for storing fresh produce or baked goods, and a chunky stoneware jug for flowers or utensils brings in a natural vibe. The key is creating a space that feels lived in, inviting, and full of character, like a kitchen you'd want to spend hours cooking in. So picture this, a cozy kitchen with soft green cabinets, a butcher block counter, open shelves displaying vintage dishes, and copper pots hanging on a rack. There's a wicker basket full of fresh produce on the floor, a vase of flowers on the table, and a loaf of fresh bread cooling on the counter. It's warm, welcoming, and utterly charming, just like an English cottage should be. For plants and flowers in an English cottage, you want to bring the outdoors in with lots of greenery and blooms. Fresh flowers like lavender, daisies, or wildflowers in a vintage vase or mason jar add a sweet, rustic touch. You can scatter small potted plants like ivy, ferns, or geraniums around the house to create a cozy, garden-inspired feel. Don't forget about hanging plants. An old-fashioned macrame holder or a simple terracotta pot hanging by the window works perfectly. The goal is to make your space feel like a garden retreat, with fresh, vibrant greenery everywhere you look. So, picture this, a cozy cottage living room with a big vase of fresh-cut wildflowers on the coffee table, a trailing ivy on a high shelf, and a potted fern in the corner. The kitchen has pots of herbs on the windowsill and a little jar of lavender on the counter. Every corner feels alive, fresh, and tied to nature. Doesn't that just sound wonderful? For eclectic touches in an English cottage, think of mixing a little bit of everything that catches your eye, vintage, quirky, and a bit unexpected. You could add an antique mirror with a slightly worn frame, or a mismatched set of colorful chairs around your dining table. Maybe a quirky painting or an old map on the wall, or a unique collection of vintage teacups on a shelf. The idea is to make the space feel personal and full of character, so mix in different textures, patterns, and eras, just like you've collected treasures over the years. It's all about creating a warm, lived-in feel with items that tell a story and make you smile. So imagine walking into your cottage and seeing a mix of cozy furniture, a quirky vase you fell in love with at a flea market, some floral patterned cushions alongside a striped armchair, and a gallery wall filled with art that tells your story. It's not about following rules, it's about creating a space that feels collected, personal, and wonderfully you. For personalized charm in an English cottage, it's all about adding touches that make the space feel uniquely yours. Think family heirlooms, like a vintage clock passed down through generations or a worn-in armchair that's seen a few good stories. You could display framed photos of loved ones in mismatched frames, or hang up a handmade quilt on the wall. Maybe even add a few personal items, like a hand-painted teapot or a collection of antique books. The goal is to make the space feel warm and lived in, with little details that bring a sense of history and nostalgia into every corner. So, imagine walking into your English cottage and seeing little pieces of your life reflected everywhere, a gallery of family photos, a cozy reading nook with your favorite books, handmade treasures, and little trinkets from your travels. It's a home that doesn't just look beautiful but feels beautiful because it's so completely you. For an indoor-outdoor connection in an English cottage, the goal is to make the outside feel like an extension of your cozy interior. Big, airy windows are key. Think French doors that open out to a garden or a charming patio. You can bring the outdoors in with plants like potted herbs or hanging baskets by the window. Inside, floral cushions or a botanical print rug can mirror the garden's colors. You could also add wicker furniture or a weathered wooden bench that gives the feeling of being in a garden room. It's all about creating that seamless flow so you feel like you're surrounded by nature, no matter where you are in the house. So imagine this, you're sitting in your cozy living room, the windows are open, and you can hear the birds singing outside. Your French doors are wide open, letting the fresh air in, and your garden feels like an extension of your home. Inside, you've got lush plants, soft fabrics, and natural materials that make everything feel connected. It's peaceful, fresh, and so inviting, exactly the kind of atmosphere you want for an English cottage. An English cottage interior is all about creating a cozy, inviting, and timeless space with a mix of natural materials, vintage charm, and personalized touches. Start with a soft, nature-inspired color palette. Think creams, pastels, and earthy tones like sage green and terracotta. Incorporate natural materials like wood, stone, linen, and wicker to bring in warmth and texture. Furniture should be comfy and relaxed, with oversized armchairs, slip-covered sofas, and rustic wooden tables. For patterns and textiles, mix florals, gingham, and stripes, along with soft, natural fabrics. Accessories should feel personal, with vintage finds, fresh flowers, and quirky pieces that tell a story. Soft lighting, vintage kitchen details, and plants add charm and character, while eclectic touches and personalized decor bring a unique, lived-in feel. Finally, create a seamless indoor-outdoor connection with plenty of plants, airy windows, and a few outdoor-inspired decor pieces. It's all about a mix of comfort, warmth, and character, like stepping into a cozy country retreat. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.